They really thought it would work, didn't they? That perfectly crafted guilt trip. That backhanded compliment that stings just a little too long, or that conversation that made you question your own sanity. They were all designed to do one thing: leave you feeling small, confused, and maybe even a little broken. They were banking on your good nature, your desire to keep the peace, and your willingness to give them the benefit of the doubt. But here's what they didn't count on: you having a secret playbook. It's a playbook inspired by one of history's sharpest minds, and it's designed to turn their dirty little tricks into your biggest advantage. This isn't about getting down in the mud with them. This is about ending the game once and for all. In this video, we're diving into 10 strategies from that playbook that you can use the moment someone starts playing dirty. 1. Expect no fairness. Assume deception as default. All right, rule number 1, and this is the big one: you have to drop the idea that everyone plays fair. The single greatest weapon a manipulator has is your hope that they'll be reasonable. You expect them to act like you, to value honesty, and to feel bad when they do something wrong. They're counting on that. They know good people hesitate, wait for fairness, and get hung up on intentions instead of outcomes. The Machiavellian counter is as simple as it is brutal. Stop expecting fairness. Assume that for those who play dirty, deception is their default setting. This isn't about being a cynic, it's about gaining strategic clarity. It means you stop being shocked by their betrayal, and you start anticipating it. You look past their words and see the move they're making. So when a co-worker lays the praise on a little too thick, you don't just soak it in, you ask yourself, what's the angle? When someone makes a promise that's too good to be true, you start planning for what happens when they break it. By assuming they're not playing fair, you take away their favorite weapon: surprise. Their deceit becomes your advantage. 2. Stay silent on your full capacity. Cultivate mystery. Think of manipulators as information collectors. They're constantly testing your boundaries, poking at your weaknesses, and listening to your rants to map out your emotional triggers. The more they know about what you can do, what you fear, and what makes you tick, the easier you are to control. They want you to show your entire hand before the game even starts. Don't give them that privilege. Rule number 2 is to stay silent on your full capacity. You need to cultivate an aura of mystery. Never reveal your limits or your greatest strengths until you absolutely have to. In any power dynamic, the most dangerous person is the one nobody can quite figure out. Let them underestimate you. Let them make their own assumptions. Your silence is a shield for your plans, and your cool detachment gives you freedom. When they can't read you, they can't predict you. And that uncertainty makes them second-guess their own moves. They'll be stuck guessing while you're calmly observing and gathering the very information they're trying to get from you. 3. Never explain yourself. Silence preserves power. You know that feeling? You get accused of something and your gut reaction is to jump in and defend yourself, to explain every little detail and prove your good intentions? That's the trap. An explanation is often a signal of submission. It hands the power of the conversation over to your accuser. Rule number 3. Never explain yourself unless it's a calculated, strategic move. Dirty players aren't listening to understand. They're listening for ammunition. They will take your reasoning, twist your words, and find tiny inconsistencies to use against you later. The powerful response isn't a long-winded defense. It's often silence or a simple, unbothered action. Silence offers no surface for them to attack. It can't be misquoted. By refusing to explain, you're not admitting you're wrong. You're sending a clear message: I don't recognize your authority to judge me. Power isn't preserved by talking more. It's preserved by knowing when silence is the most powerful statement you can make. 4. Position, don't attack head-on. Let them overextend. Amateurs think power is all about confrontation. that the loudest voice or the most aggressive move always wins. But people who play dirty are rarely that obvious. They're subtle, they position, they spread rumors, create quiet alliances, and slowly change the narrative to isolate you before they ever make a direct move. They want to bait you into a loud, emotional fight. That makes you look like the unstable one. Rule number 4 is to use their strategy against them. Position, don't attack. Let them be the ones who get emotional and overextend themselves. Instead of getting into a shouting match with a coworker who is undermining you, position yourself by making sure your boss sees your contributions directly, instead of arguing with a relative who guilt trips you. Position yourself by building stronger, healthier connections with people who don't. This indirect approach saves your energy. You outflank them by letting their own dirty tactics eventually expose them to everyone else. 5. Enforce boundaries with cold precision. Punish betrayal silently. When someone betrays you, it's natural to feel outraged. You want to yell and make them understand the pain they caused. But for a manipulator, that emotional outburst is their reward. It's proof they got to you. It gives them drama to feed on, and a story they can twist to paint you as unhinged. This brings us to rule number 5. Enforce your boundaries with cold, surgical precision. The most terrifying consequence you can deliver isn't rage. It's silent removal. When a so-called friend betrays your trust, you don't send them an angry novel over text. You just cut off their access to you. You stop answering their calls. You remove them from your life. The punishment isn't in the confrontation, it's in the consequence. The message isn't, "You hurt me." The message is, "You no longer exist in my world." That level of calm ruthlessness teaches people that crossing you isn't just a bad idea, it's expensive. All right, we're halfway through. And let's be clear, these strategies aren't about changing who you are. They're about protecting, avoid being exploited. If you're finding this playbook valuable and want to keep building an unshakable mind, take a second to subscribe to the channel. The best lessons are still on the way. 6. Make clarity your weapon. Cut emotional noise. Manipulators thrive in an emotional fog. They use guilt, flattery, pity, and fake urgency to cloud your judgment and push you into acting against your own best interests. They need you to feel, not to think. Rule number 6 is to make clarity your ultimate weapon. Clarity is the art of seeing people for who they actually are, not who you wish they were. It means ignoring their emotional performance and focusing only on their pattern of behavior. They can say they're sorry, but have their actions actually changed? They can tell you how much they need you, but do they ever respect you? By cutting through the emotional noise and responding only to what you can see, you break their spell. While everyone else is getting suckered in by a good sob story, you're calmly noting a repeated pattern of disrespect. That kind of clarity is a superpower. It makes you immune to their favorite tools. 7. Command respect through aura, not begging. Ever notice how some people walk into a room and command respect without saying a single word? That's not an accident. It's an aura. It's a projection of complete self-possession. On the flip side, many people subconsciously beg for respect. They over-explain, they smile nervously, they're way too agreeable. That behavior signals neediness, and manipulators can smell neediness a mile away. Rule number 7 is to command respect through your aura. You do this by embodying an untouchable presence. It's in the slow, deliberate way you walk. It's the steady eye contact that isn't looking for approval. It's the calm, measured way you speak. It's your willingness to hold a comfortable silence while everyone else is rushing to fill it. You don't have to demand respect. You just signal that you are not someone who can be disrespected. You enforce your boundaries without apology. People will sense you are not to be trifled with, often without you having to say a word. 8. Never compete for their throne. Seek trust instead. When you're dealing with someone in a position of power, a boss, a major client, a family matriarch, the rookie mistake is to challenge them head-on. Trying to prove you're smarter, more capable, or more deserving is a fatal error. A direct challenge to someone with an established ego will only get you marked as a threat that needs to be eliminated. Rule number 8 is a masterclass in playing the long game. Never compete for their throne. Seek to become their trusted right hand. This means making yourself indispensable through your discretion and reliability. Listen more than you speak. Never ever repeat sensitive information. Bring them solutions, not just problems. Make your competence serve their agenda. By positioning yourself as a loyal, discreet advisor instead of a rival, you gain their trust. And with that trust comes influence, which is often more real than the power held by the person on the throne. 9. Kill the old weak self, burn bridges to complacency. Think about every time you let someone cross a boundary, every time you accepted an excuse you knew was a lie. Each of those moments reinforced a weaker version of yourself. That version of you is the manipulator's best friend. It's predictable, it's overly forgiving, and it's terrified of conflict. To become truly immune to manipulation, that version of you has to go. Rule number 9 is the most personal and maybe the toughest. You must kill the old, weak self. This means you have to burn the bridges to your own complacency. It's a ruthless vow to choose discipline over your fleeting emotions. When their dirty tactics tempt you to fall back into old habits like people-pleasing or avoiding conflict, you have to consciously refuse. No more excuses. There is only calm observation and deliberate action. This is an act of internal warfare. You are destroying the part of you that is vulnerable to their games. And from those ashes, a stronger, untouchable self is born. 10. Move as if you belong and be willing to walk away. The final piece of this puzzle is about entitlement. Not arrogance, but the deep-down belief that you are entitled to dignity, peace, and respect. Manipulators thrive on your fear of loss. They count on you being too afraid to lose the job, the relationship, or the social status to walk away from their nonsense. Therefore, the 10th and final rule is to move as if you belong everywhere, but be attached to nowhere. Act with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their value and is always willing to walk away from any deal, relationship, or situation that doesn't serve them. This is the ultimate source of power. When you're genuinely willing to leave, their threats are empty. Their approval is irrelevant. Their games lose all power because the hostage, your fear, has been set free. Walking away without a big emotional scene is the final checkmate. It silently communicates that you no longer consider them worthy of your energy, and they're left playing a game all by themselves. These 10 rules aren't a manual for becoming cruel. They are a blueprint for becoming uncontrollable. The world doesn't always reward the kindest person. It often tests the sharpest mind. This timeless wisdom isn't about learning how to manipulate, but about learning to recognize and neutralize manipulation so that your true character, your integrity, your kindness, your strength is protected, not exploited. Power isn't about being the loudest. It's about observing. It's not about reacting. It's about choosing. It's about becoming so strategically aware and psychologically grounded that their games become transparent. You stop seeing them as intimidating figures and start seeing them for what they are: predictable players in a game you now refuse to play. So, you've got the playbook. The real question is, what's your next move? Which of these dirty tactics have you seen the most in your own life? Share your story in the comments below, because your experience could be the one thing someone else needs to hear, to know they're not alone. And if you're ready to continue your journey into mastering the psychology of power and self-defense, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Your transformation is just getting started.